I went and got a qualification in international relations, specifically majoring in politics, economics. There was a philosophy element. There was a lot of public administration, the structuring. I competed against other universities at varsity. Won a Model United Nations Best Speaker nationally, a gold award, medal for doing that, and it progressed quite nicely and was the junior deputy mayor of Pretoria. To understand that businesses run, but the people who run those businesses are people with lives, people with families, people with concerns, people with aspirations, people who want to achieve things for themselves. Then Outsurance gave me a call.
The big money comes. Come on.
So I get this call from one of our large insurers, and I say, nah, guys, thanks.
I'm good.
Nobody grows up as an 8-year-old in front of class saying, guys, you never know. You'll never know.
Yeah.
But what I want to be, you'll never guess. I want to sell insurance policies. Nobody. I've never met anybody who's come, and made something of themselves in insurance. And even it's not really a career of choice. It's not something that people aspire to work. The non-profitable parts is compliance, insurance relations, making sure that we've got those things set up. And so that's where we started out with our sister company, Smith & Key, and on a value of a handshake. After I went to go see Wamkor Smith intervene.
Welcome to episode 32 of the Business Agenda podcast. My name is Cash, also known as Uncle Cash. As always, this podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. So we're continuing with our entrepreneurship weekend. You're going to see, by now you'll have seen the episodes from yesterday, had some great conversations. And obviously we now have a guest who I recently met, but some people make an instant impact. I had to get this man without even gaslighting or pandering. Also joined by my co-host Teaser. Hope you're well, bro.
I'm okay.
How are you?
A little bit tired, but we're here. It's okay.
Yeah, back to back. Thank you as always to the team behind the scenes that make things happen. For audio, Tabi the Don, the best sound engineer in the game. On visual, got Seppo. If you want to see who that man is, he likes to be incognito. Just go onto Instagram and look up who is Seppo. Our guest, like I was saying, I think the best way to describe this man is he's got a personality that pops like the socks he's wearing right now. everything is intentional.
They get better than this.
I'm sure they get louder and brighter.
Certainly.
We're joined by Darius, Roscoe, and I was trying to practice his surname, and this sounds like a famous French painter, of the Rembrandt in nature, but I'm not going to try to butcher this, and I'm going to ask the guest to let the viewers see how to pronounce his last name.
It's Wyngaardt.
Wyngaardt, you see. Wyngaardt. See, Wyngaardt, Rembrandt, Picasso. Exactly. Wyngaardt. So just to get into it, this man, I met him at a Suits and Sneakers event. Shout out to Mark Sham.
It's a great event, eh?
Great event. Yeah. They're doing good things. They've got a new venue. The Trist is now in Cramerville, so I just thought I'd shout them out. And immediately when I got there, we just started chatting. And when I say he made an impression, some people got the personalities where just jumps off the page. Sounds like a cliche. And then what I like about Darius is he's not like the archetypical entrepreneur. He's not the cheesy shoe salesman, used car salesman. Some people in sales come off too strong, but he's got that, dare I say, a refined presence as an entrepreneur. So, he was there with his team. We started chatting, ended up networking, and I just liked his story. And when we decided to have this camp of entrepreneurship, did some research on him, and then I was like, okay, not only is he an entrepreneur, his background, where he started, I thought was quite interesting. So because the theme of this weekend is we're looking at 2025, the financial year, decisions, how it's been so far for entrepreneurs, that's why we've invited him to be on our podcast weekend. So firstly, how are you doing, Darius?
Very well. Well exercised this last couple of weeks, certainly, coming out of the African Insurance Exchange.
Wow.
The filming and production as well as distribution of the Insurance Apprentice is making its rounds now. So some interesting little conversations I've been having with people from abroad, funny enough as well. So people out of country. It's been good. And I often say it's a privilege to be tired for your work and for your business, because it shows that you're moving in the right direction. It's a productive level of tiredness. Not I'm tired because I'm lethargic and I'm laying around.
I'm tired because you're making money.
We hope to.
We hope to.
The money's on its way.
Yes.
The dream.
Yeah, the dream and planting the seeds, getting things going. So Darius, obviously you run your own brokerage. Surname once again, I want to say probably Wyngaart. If I had a surname like that, the ladies would be lining up around the corner.
Mustn't say that too loud.
Yeah, not too loudly. Yeah, just if you know, you know. But obviously, you run your own brokerage, Wyngaart Brokers. But before that, I would like to start in terms of your journey. You were in corporate. That's something we spoke about at Suits and Sneakers. And what I did like is your story of how you started, what kind of work you were doing, and then obviously we'll lead up to how you then got into your own brokerage. So, what's your background history in terms of maybe your qualification, what you studied, and just your work experience?
So I studied international relations. They say I'm a bit of a mixed grill. So I'm a typical proper Rainbow Nation, exuding the Rainbow Nation through my lineage. I've got a very, very diverse background. And I thought, who better than to represent the country internationally? And I studied international relations to be a diplomat. I went and got a qualification in international relations, specifically majoring in politics, economics. There was a philosophy element. There was a lot of public administration, the structuring. I competed against other universities at varsity, won a Model United Nations Best Speaker nationally, a gold award medal for doing that, and it progressed quite nicely and was the junior deputy mayor of Pretoria and also a candidate for an internship at the Department of International Relations while I was part of the U.S. Embassy's Youth Council initiative, the preamble to the Mandela Washington Fellowship. And so, as I progressed, I went abroad and learned a lot here and there at one or two of these sessions. And I met a chap named Dan Feeney when I was in conversation with him across the table from Ambassador Ndow in Ireland. And he told me, "Nah, you're not going to make it." And I said, "Bro, bugger you. I'm not going to make it.
How dare you?
Do you have any idea of the willpower I possess?" And as I started doing the internship, I realized, geez, people coming late, leaving early, this lethargic nature, the lukewarmness of politics was there and infectious. And Dan had mentioned, you're not going to be able to swim through the pool, come out dirty, turn back and say, guys, now we're going to clean this pool. And his recommendation to me when I was abroad was, go out, build yourself into private, and come back in, if you really want to be involved at that level. So I, at that point, realized, shucks, okay, I'm going to try and hang on to my qualification. And I worked extremely hard. Ended up in Sandton earning 1,500 rand a month. I had to bartend on
I thought you were going to say 1.5 million, bro.
It would be nice. It would be nice. But it was 1,500 bucks a month. I had to bartend on Thursday evening, Friday evening, Saturday morning, Saturday evening. Then go
But
to
this
church
is like
on Sunday.
this is like, I'm assuming, early 2000s.
Yeah, this was the teens, early teens in the 2000s, yeah, as I was exiting. And so I really had to learn. I was going in on a motorcycle, freezing my butt off. I was they say in Afrikaans, going klipper, chewing rocks, really just suffering.
Like grinding, yeah.
Suffering, bro. Suffering through it, being exhausted all the time. And then it was still, every evening was church activities and stuff. Highly committed to that at that stage especially. And that was a fantastic foundation for learning how to work very hard for very little reward. And so slowly but surely, and trying to hold on to my international relations portion of my qualification, I ended up in international finance. And I got to move up in 3,000 rand a month at the time. Doubled my salary. For goodness sakes, guys. Can I get a hand clap here? Yeah. And did very well there, actually. Yeah. And I moved through a couple of businesses in this offshore space. And it taught me a lot about interacting at high levels, dealing with individuals of higher caliber. We built up an £18.5 million pipeline of business at that stage, and I was headhunted gratefully through one or two businesses and found some nice opportunities. And then Outsurance gave me a call.
The big money comes. Come on.
So I get this call from one of our large insurers, and I say, nah, guys, thanks.
I'm good.
Nobody grows up as an 8-year-old in front of class saying, guys, you never know. You'll never know. Yeah. But what I want to be, you'll never guess. I want to sell insurance policies. Nobody. I've never met anybody who's come and made something of themselves in insurance. And even it's not really a career of choice. It's not something that people aspire to work in insurance. And they came back later after I told them no, and they offered me a bit more, and they said, listen, come and have a look. Just come and have a look. And I said, okay. My philosophy is to do your best, keep an open mind, and believe in God at that time in particular. So I was like, cool, let's get in. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I enjoyed the idea of being a solid backbone to individuals in a time of calamity. You know, when the popo hits the fan and everything starts coming loose and the tires are falling off the vehicle, for somebody to pick up the phone and say, all is broken loose, I need help. And maybe it was just also servicing my own ego, because I like to be in that space to provide help, to provide assistance, to be that reliable,
to be a fixer
individual. And I excelled there like nobody's business. I did extremely well. I built myself up to be very, very high up in the book management size of those in the organization. I had some very nice accolades. One of them is on the wall there, something 1,420% over my target. A couple of things that I did there, but it's because I chewed rocks previously.
Yeah.
So I was working 2 hours before everyone else was there. I was working 4 hours after everybody else left at work. I'm working basically an extra business day every day in volume. And that starts to, over time, you understand the compounding effect of working harder, building up the experience, doing more work, just pure volume.
Yeah, pipeline.
Out of interest, like, because it sounds like it was a bit of a leap, because you hadn't done this industry and you kind of went for it. Yeah. Besides the money, but like, is it because you've always kind of had the sales mentality, sales personality? Is that what Archer saw in you? Because, like, from international relations all the way to insurance, it's like...
Good question. There's a sales element, certainly, but there's there's a niche in the sales and marketing space called business development, where the idea is to both be able to sell, but to grow the esteem, to increase the capacity of the organization in order to secure additional income by sales. So it was the business development portion which they had actually hunted me down for, which I had achieved in the other space, the offshore space. And so that was effectively how that migration took place across the board. The hard work sort of happened by itself. And then the reward for that ultimately was, you end up wrapping up pieces of business that directly start to plug into your bank account, which is fantastic. But as things progress, you end up in commercial and corporate spaces, and you realize, geez, this is a big shareholder value creating machine. And when people start to say deals, as this organization was growing, as that division was growing, I was one of the first people in there. And to watch the values that I had seen initially, which I saw as wonderful, steadfast, offering deep value to clients, be eroded by deals, forgetting about the fact that, it's a business, and sure, maybe it's a deal, but these people have slept on the floor of this organization. These people haven't bought that new car and are driving that jalopy because they're building up a business and building up their family's assets. These people are struggling to make salaries meet for their employees, but they are really, really, really contributing economically to, the local scenarios, their local economy, to their individuals who they're employing. And for that to be lost in the shareholder value, the approaching of sign up people, sign them the deals, couldn't stand it. And so that frustrated me. And that started to create a juncture and a split between my values and what they had initially articulated and where we were. And that's at the point at which, after having proven myself very successfully over that time period of about 5 years, started our own brokerage.
Okay, so at that juncture, didn't even think twice, because what I probably want to get into real quickly is there's many parts to that lead to entrepreneurship, like with your own brokerage. Was there any second guessing once you got to that juncture, or it was just a case of what this was is no longer that and I'm done? You never had any cold feet, second thoughts, or was it a case of now you thought you've now built up enough of your own confidence and there's a misalignment here that you're going to go off on your own? Was it an easy decision?
I think it did come easily. I'm not the type of person that is to betray other people's trust. And so for the organization which helped me instill that trust in clients to start to betray mine, it wasn't going to fly. And so that decision for me was quite straightforward, and it wasn't with a lot of doubt. It was literally that this is the most natural next step for us to take. I went to my clients and I told them, look, I don't expect you to come with just because we have a relationship, but I would like to ask you to give me an opportunity when I'm on the other side. And if you can allow me that, let me see if I can add value and prove value to you, because there's a reason why I'm doing this. I believe it's going to be good for you. I believe it's going to be good for me. And I believe I'm going to be able to build something sustainable out of this that is going to be able to offer more value over time to society at large than feeding the corporate machine.
Yeah, true.
And so that's where I departed.
And out of interest, so your business that you've now set up, that you're currently running, what products do you kind of offer? And I just want to get it from a broader perspective, like individuals, corporate. How would you say your offering is as a business?
Our business is geared towards, it's effectively our ICP, our ideal clients sit in under the corporate space. So we service larger organizations, typically multiple vehicles, security companies, logistics companies, people transport companies, warehousing concerns, manufacturing concerns, and then a lot in the auxiliary as well. We, as a business, can do everything from personal lines. It's come to a point where, we work with a business, we then start doing the business owners and the management staff want some help with their personal stuff. We do that, and then it spins off into, hey, can't you sort my mum out with her old Corolla and she's chilling there at home. And that happens as well, because that's part of the commitment we've made. So what people don't really know about insurance is that it's extremely vast. There are things that you can insure for that you have no realization of because you haven't gotten the exposure to.
True.
If I could tell you that for our high net worth guys, we can insure certain portions of what could take place in the event of a ransom or a kidnapping situation.
Yeah.
We can insure
Home office.
an audit on tax affairs that have taken place. We can insure your specific high-end artwork. We can give you policies that offer you what we call unspecified all risk, which means that, as you go up into these echelons of, I'm going to just buy this jewelry item or this watch, it becomes more nonchalant as you've increased your income and it becomes commonplace. But your first thought isn't, I better go call my
Broker.
call center or my broker so that I can quickly tell them about this new item as if, they must reward me by not telling me, pay more premium or we'll put it on. So we offer that kind of value to our clients as well. And it's really all across the board. We do just about any type of insurance, but our specialization lies in that ICP of ours.
Interesting. Yeah.
What I wanted to find out from you, obviously being someone who's obviously an entrepreneur and had obviously a colorful journey, with running your own brokerage, I think one aspect of being an entrepreneur and over and above this year is there's the people aspect of it. Like one thing I've seen about you in a short time we've known each other is you're very focused on your team. Like literally it's almost like an adage to you, like you always speak about your team. Even when we met at that event, like you seem to be someone who's very people focused, people centric. What's your, like, to maybe advise the people are going to see, what's your approach and what's probably, what is like in general? Maybe let's start in general, dealing with people as entrepreneurship as an asset, and then what's your approach to that?
I love that segue. I think it's so important to understand that businesses run, but the people who run those businesses are people with lives, people with families, people with concerns, people with aspirations, people who want to achieve things for themselves. I think one of the reasons why we've succeeded so well over this last 5 or so years in particular is that teaming up with the right people and bringing the right people in early it's a big fix. Teaming up with the right clients is also a big fix. Having the alignment across the board of this is how we do it, this is how we want to achieve these goals that we've set out to be an insurer and a brokerage of choice for certain individuals in a certain area. By looking at the individuals and offering them the insight that you realize they're people, without forgetting that we expect a lot, but they get the benefit of the upside of the business, and committing to them to say that, listen, a lot of business owners try to extract all the value out of their business, out of their people. We've got a lot of incentives within the business to offer value to our own employees, to say, listen, if the business is more profitable, then all of our incomes increase. The potential for that lies there deeply. And the alignment of the value systems is probably, from a people perspective, one of the most important things you can do from an entrepreneurial journey perspective is to get the right people in early and get the wrong people off quickly.
True.
Sometimes you have to let them off the bus and say, look,
Not working.
I'm opening up the door. I believed in you. I still believe in you here, but I don't want you to come in here, suffer, struggle if you've lost your passion for the work, if you can't fulfill the mandate you believed you were previously. And I would rather have us have a pleasant
Party.
split and part where we can both walk away and say that was a good journey, we gave it a good shot, we've tried our best and we weren't able to succeed, than that we've all seen those downhill slopes of misery that potentially could be created by a bad relationship that doesn't meet its potential. So people are extremely important, and managing them is extremely important, but the most important part of that is having an aligned value system when it comes to building your business, where people can say this is something I can get behind on a personal level, because it's something that they can subscribe to within their own perception of the way they want to make a difference to the world in their career.
Can I ask you, maybe just on some of the particulars? This is just my call it own opinion. Like, why do they sell funeral cover over life cover? It just makes sense. Like, why must I take a 50,000 rand funeral policy when I can take 500,000 life cover? And I often wonder, why do they sell insurance policy first, like, or funeral policy first?
It's an interesting one. I'll give you advice off the record on this one, because our specialization is in asset insurance, but it's about proclivity of the market's uptake, first of all. And oftentimes it's difficult to insure against the potential of something to happen for us, which is I might hurt myself and lose an arm in an accident. There's a potential, but there's a definite that you will pass away at some point.
Yes, okay.
And so the funeral cover is that full stop at the end of my life. Boom.
You are gonna die.
Yeah.
Take this doof. Yes, and I'm taking care of my family is sorted. They got the bucks. They can relieve any of the debts I've accrued. They can pay for their studies or whatever it is that's designed for, and put into your estate and will and testament, hopefully. Whereas on the life cover, it's just not as readily perceived as urgent, because they don't see that. But I would argue it may even be more important to ensure your income generation through your life cover than it is to insure yourself for a funeral, because that income generation is what can make you, I mean, for goodness sakes, you can become a potato, and then instead of be a, I say that tongue in cheek, but you could become paralyzed.
Yep.
And you could become, instead of just passing away,
You're fully incapacitated.
you now become an additional strain to those.
Yes.
And that would be a worse off scenario than dying without funeral cover.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know,
Because
you
now,
become a difficult anchor to your family, the people you care about's development and the things that they can achieve, because you're dependent. You're being carted around, for instance.
yeah. And now, I think, just quickly back to the point, I really like the fact that as an entrepreneur, you said it's something that sometimes corporates miss out on, but parting with people, ways with people and how you manage them. Because something I learned in my first job, the CEO at the time, he was talking to the team, the managers, it was a microfinance company. He saw there was a hesitation to let people out the door. And he said very calmly, listen, here's one thing you need to understand. When you part ways with someone, you're helping three people. One, you're helping yourself as the current company. That person is not motivated, they're not performing for whatever reasons, because you might find that person's not suited for that opportunity. He's better somewhere else. Like what happened with you in international relations, that look, this was not for you. Not that you are not giving your effort, but you're not best suited. And then he said the second person you help is you're helping them. You as the company, you've helped yourself, you help them to let them leave. And if there's someone who's motivated, they can go figure out where they're best suited. And he said the third person you're helping, which I thought was interesting, is you're helping out the next place where they are going to work. Because even if they're going to be in the same space, if they were not bringing their A game, maybe they're meant for that place or this industry, but they're not bringing their A game. Because sometimes people, you just need that poke and that prod. So if you leave, they go to another company, they're going to do better for that place. Because introspection, I wasn't giving myself, because I just thought, let me highlight that, because sometimes the people asset is very important. And if you're starting out, especially in the startup space, I want people to understand is if you're going to hold on to that person as part of the team who's bringing you down. I mean, most of us are sports fans and we all have our opinions, but it's not rocket science why a player at one team will look like he's just not worth any amount of money. He crosses to another side and it looks like the best thing since bread came sliced. Sometimes it's timing, sometimes it's culture. The same clubs have culture, so does corporates. And then how do you feed that? So I just told him it's important because I liked your perspective of it's not even a personal thing. That person not leaving on a grudge, but you as an entrepreneur to have just the wherewithal to say, listen, what we agreed and discussed at the beginning is not working. That's why you left your employer and went into your own space, because what was initially agreed value-wise had changed. And because you're someone who probably clearly stands on principle, it's like, I'm going to shift. And just, as people, we need to make those decisions because, like you said, it's a slippery slope. You're going to be there. You're going to be miserable. You're not giving the best performance for your person as yourself. And there's a misalignment across the board. And I just think entrepreneurs should just not be scared to make that decision.
It's a really well articulated insight there, Cash. Definitely.
Okay, can I ask you maybe from a lending perspective, as a broker, obviously you kind of have customers, and then I'm assuming you then have a back end part of it.
Yes.
Out of interest, obviously, like when I see your business, I'm like numbers. I'm assuming numbers. I'm assuming you need numbers. But at what stage does it become, especially as you were leaving, to say, look, I think I have enough customers to leave. Because I'm assuming you also have underwriters and etc. So maybe if you can explain that concept, like where brokerage fits and customers brokerage, and call it underwriters, that relationship.
Okay. Yeah. Good thoughts. That is. I think what's difficult about being a broker is that you act as an intermediary. And so nobody likes the middleman.
Remove the middleman and cut the cost.
But at what price are you cutting the cost?
And compromising.
And it's not to say that you will pay more. It's like saying, I'm not going to go to the specialist doctor. I'm going to go to the doctor that only does a certain type of client or care, right? Now you don't go to the doctor who knows everything, the very, very sophisticated generalist with multiple facets within his business, with multiple years worth of experience and exposure. You're saying, no, I'm going to that guy in the corner. And I'm going to speak to him. Oh, he's a doctor. Cool. What is he? No, he specializes in toes. Yeah, but I mean, the toe is close enough to a finger. So let's go and get my finger. And sometimes it works. I've been pondering on the discussion about where do we fit in the market, and the analogies, on the trip to Cape Town, I've used this example in another podcast with Jason as well, but I think it's apt. You can take a train, you can take the plane, you can take a car, you can hitchhike.
The plane, definitely.
You can walk, you can go naked,
or you can take a bicycle.
You can do that, but you have to decide how it is that you want to do it. Or you could tell somebody, excuse me, you know how to get to Cape Town using 50 different ways. This is what I like. This is what I enjoy. Family time, so I don't mind a longer trip. I like the scenic views. I quite enjoy, doesn't have to be expensive, but just homey stays along the way. And that's how I like to travel to Cape Town. Or you could be like, I need to get there right now as fast as, if you could teleport me to Cape Town, go. But you get that person to manage that process for you, and that's where the broker fits in. So the broker acts as an intermediary for both your presentation towards the insurers on the incoming stage. So we'll go to, for argument's sake, 10 different insurers. You'll say, listen, these are the things I value as teaser. I've got my audio equipment in the business. We've got our vehicles. We've got XYZ assets, and there are certain things we want to make sure we cover ourselves against. And we'll go out to the market and say, these are the insurers that like those kind of businesses or those kind of individuals. We'll go and ask them for their proposals. Then we'll go through the proposals and make sure that they are suitable for yourself. Put the premium down, have the discussion about these various potential options, and then you get to make the decision, all while being facilitated by me. The best part of all is, or broker, if the popo hits the fan, you have me to act on your best behalf, so you can go on with your business instead of these call center agents, these assessors, the rest. It becomes my primary priority to protect you and your system.
I just want to ask a question, right? In terms of what sort of business do you guys write the most, or what do you guys insure the most on the asset side? And then second question on the claim side, I want to also find out like what's the most popular item that's being claimed? I have an idea, but I just want to find out from you.
You want to confirm your suspicion?
I think we just by looking at each other, we know already. The businesses we take in most frequently are fleet-heavy businesses and asset-heavy businesses. So multiple vehicles for whatever reason, whether it's Uber fleets, whether it's security fleets, whether it's transportation fleets, whether it's logistic concerned fleets, whether it's yellow metals and mining, multiple self-propelled vehicles. We do a lot of good work there. In addition to large-scale assets, buildings, we've got certain portfolios with multiple group schemes within it, and the special power about that is that we get to have oversight and we can split that up into different spaces to give you best cost as well as proper advice. We carry 150 million rands worth of professional indemnity cover, which means that I'm covered for advice I give you if something goes wrong. And you doubly covered because you've got insurance and somebody advising you on your insurance so you can make better decisions. So to answer that one. Then on the claims, I will say that the most frequent claims in our brokerage are it's going to be between vehicle incidents and cell phones.
Okay, yeah.
He runs a car rental company. That's why he already.
There's quite a lot of also we read quite a lot on insurance fraud. I just wanted to know from you if you've seen that and how rife it is, because apparently, according to the media, it's like on the rise in SA.
You know what the problem is? We've got a very, very, very smart general population, contrary to popular belief. Our people are smart across the board. We see it because our criminals are geniuses. Yep. They come up with syndicates and stuff. So to talk to that, we do a lot of CPDs, and so that's our continuous development points, which allows us to offer better advice over time, much like the lawyers and the accountants and the individuals in professional spaces like engineers as well. One of the recent discussions that we had from an anti-money laundering and an anti-fraud perspective was just about how these syndicates go about what they do. These guys will buy written-off vehicles and then construct claims. They will invent claims. So they're going to place these vehicles in strategic positions in an incident area after having a mule. So they'll have somebody else take out cover for a few months, not the people who are syndicating in the background. They'll fund their bank account so the premium goes. And then they'll come back and say, 4 months later, we've got four car pile up and we're going to write off these vehicles. So they buy the car at a discount. They insure them at the upper level of what the retail value is of those vehicles. They claim for them. They get them written off. And then they pull a profit out. They put in a couple $1,000 for premium and the asset acquisition, the damaged asset acquisition. And then they extract the total retail value of that vehicle and walk away. And they give the mule, whether the poor, unwilling or unwitting, unaware individual, a couple of bucks for the effort. But it affects that person's the actual records with the insurers, first of all, on a personal side. And then they've seen this happen over multiple vehicles over an extended period of time. These guys made something like 400 million rand before the insurers started to actually catch on and say, something is wrong. This vehicle, that vehicle, this vehicle, that vehicle. They keep getting into similar incidents, different situations. And when they started to compare notes, they fortunately, our industry is very sophisticated. But when they started to compare the notes,
it told a story.
It came out and they could find these guys. They went to jail for an extended period of time. My big wish, though, is if only we could get them to gear that energy up to the positive, to come up with better solutions, different solutions from an insurance perspective. But they're wasting themselves on
scams and crime,
stuff that have no longevity. You can't last in this industry. It's not gonna fly.
I'm glad you brought that up in terms of how people, contrary to popular belief, nothing makes me drop bat an eyelid when I hear of how creative people are in terms of stealing cars, removing trackers, fraud. I know someone who's been at Standard Bank Insurance Brokers for the longest time, and he was highlighting some of these things where he even mentioned now that the biggest section of this kind of fraud is in Durban in the ports, where before containers come, those are the insured, the transit. So these guys they're setting up syndicates of frauds from goods in transit, when it lands, multiple points in the value chain where they'll insure, see where they can claim, where they work with truck drivers, guys at the ports. It's sophisticated, and I always laugh and think, as much as it's what makes me enjoy watching stuff like Narcos. As much as Pablo Escobar was a drug lord, but organizational structure, hierarchy,
imagine
rules.
That capacity in a business.
Exactly.
That's an official, proper, legitimate business. There's so much skills. There's so much coordination. There's so much big brain thinking taking
Exactly.
place there.
Imagine
It's
that.
being wasted.
It's wasted, because I like that you bring up that point, because that kind of innovation with funding in the space where, like you mentioned, a point I'm quite big on is like doing things that have impact for society. All this stuff is negative. Imagine those guys, if they were funded by the government, if they're given opportunities, because you do have a lot of such young people who want opportunities to showcase their talents. But some end up getting sucked into crime, not to justify crime, but I always think it's just so, imagine what half those guys could do. Because globally we're seeing advancements in the entrepreneurship space with tech, renewable energy, AI, and just like think South Africa could be at the forefront of, if entrepreneurs are forward thinking for South Africa, not just for South Africa, but for the continent, as opposed to buying dynamite and blowing up ATMs. Like there's no, like you said, rightfully, there's no long-term sustainability of a life of crime. But with insurance, it's crazy.
So can I ask? So from your business perspective, obviously for the most part, it sounds like it's a business that you can run by yourself. But from a staff complement, how have you grown, and and clients' perspective, how many of your clients do they rely on you calling them versus having other people calling them?
We've got, when I started the business, I'd realized I can't go and figure out the non-profitable elements of insurance broking. The only profitable element of insurance broking is managing portfolios, onboarding new clients, and offering them value from a service perspective. The non-profitable parts is compliance, insurer relations, making sure that we've got those things set up. And so that's where we started out with our sister company, Smith & Key, and on a value of a handshake. After I went to go see Wyngaart Smith in Tunin, he said, Darius, ons gaan lekker saamwerk. And I said, geez, man, I love it. Because before I had gotten back to Pretoria from where we were, on the value system that we had agreed to, he started doing what he said he was going to do without a contract being signed. That's the kind of people you want to be involved with. And so we have the back-end staff
really
complement.
nice.
It's massive. We've got about 150 different individuals within that space, from a broking perspective and an administrative capacity perspective. In our brokerage itself, on the front end, we've got 6-7 of us, with skill sets that range between underwriting, between claims, between marketing, and then we've recently, a couple months back, brought in another broker, Soso, who I met at the Insurance Apprentice, funny enough. So we're expanding from an operational capacity. A lot of our clients, even though I'm a director in the business, still get my specific and direct advice, which I'm glad to do. I don't like it when guys completely extract themselves from the front end facing interactions with their clients and then just say, well, thanks for coming along and helping me establish my business. I'm going to go on scaling it and see you guys whenever I see you. I'm very big on that personalized, that's why I'm so tired, you see. Personalized service. We have to stick to those commitments. So we're not massive in the space. We've got a fairly large book size. We cash at already beyond what the average broker would retire on in a small scale. We do take a lot of responsibility on our own shoulders as far as the new sales and marketing is concerned. And so, we look for opportunities like this also to offer a bit of value to the market, to give guys a bit of insight so that people can see we can find people who would best present us to our pool of insurers and can act in our best interest, so we can go on doing what's important to us, like making money, like finding new clients, and those kind of things, rather than being stuck in the non-profitable part of what insurance would be for themselves. Having people to actively manage your portfolio. We've all had these little increases. Hey, take 20%. You're like, no man, guys, you call them and they say, okay, no, fine, 13. Then they say, okay, take 30%. Then you call them, you're like, what the heck, guys? Okay, 18%. But if that isn't your problem, all the better. If something goes a bit pear-shaped, all the better. I have that argument before our clients even hear it. And I say, excuse me, insurer, are you sure this is the game we're going to play? And they're like, no, we have to. And I'm like, no, you can't individualize underwriting and say, what was your client's claims like and in the beginning, and then when it comes to the increases, say, oh no, everybody is suffering.
Exactly.
All of these broad sway, this is happening there. Okay, so we must come in with our individual CVs, and then as things progress and go pear-shaped, now we must take responsibility for everybody's problems. So we have those discussions preemptively as well, where we tell them, I will sit there and say to insurer, listen, thank you, but I'm not coming back to you. Make sure that this is your best rate. And if you give us something ridiculous, then I'll when we get to the renewal meeting or have the conversation with the client, I'm saying, look, our insurer has said this. I'm not very happy with it. I've had the argument and the fight with them. They've come back and now they've said this. However, taken the whole portfolio back into the market, and instead of paying any increase this year, we could give you 90% of what you were paying previously into the next year. What are your thoughts? Oftentimes clients will say, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take it because that's me doing my job for them.
Proactive.
A quick one, just want to ask about the competitiveness in the industry. Obviously, there's quite a lot of brokers. How are you navigating that in this environment at the moment?
I don't really see anybody as a competitor, to be honest. You know, that would be like running around.
You see them in the rear view mirror.
So it is a competitive market.
Yeah.
Granted. I don't look at a brokerage and think, ooh, competition. I think, great, keep it up because there's enough pie for all of us to eat.
True.
Yeah, it is.
What I encourage and what I've seen is a lot of guys are falling out because they're not meeting their compliance and their actual conformity, the mandates from the FSCA to make sure that they are managing clients' data correctly, to manage their portfolios correctly. Because these institutions, brokering institutions previously had been at the helm of a lot of difficulty for clients, fraudulent activities, not treating clients fairly, and so then they really got squashed over time. It was always like the last resort type of career choice back in the day. You know, oh, I've come out the army, I'm gonna go and sell cars or become an insurance broker. You know, that was the two things that would happen back in the day. So. There's a fair amount of competition, but we do see a lot of guys getting absorbed. And that's a troublesome thing for me because being independent and impartial is important. Going to somebody who can only give you X product is a dangerous space to be in because you don't get the choice. You don't get the variety and the expertise. If somebody says, all I can do as a doctor is amputations. Geez, guys, that's dangerous. My fingernail has been damaged. Okay, let's take the finger. You know, if that's the only thing they can do, that's dangerous. And it's disguised as he's the best finger taker in the world. You know? Okay, guys, that's not the way we want to solve these problems. If you want somebody who can say, right, this is how we'll go about this specific problem. This is how we can look at multiple solutions for you. And somebody who's played in that space for an extended period of time, people don't see that value until they've participated. But if we're only going to hunt for premium and try and do it ourselves, you end up in a call center. They say, I work under supervision. You say, I don't know about insurance. They say, are you happy with the premium? You say, I like the premium, but the excess is high. And they say, okay, let's get the excess down. What about now? You say, cool. Don't forget to read the 160-page document. And that's the last time you speak to each other. Yeah. And the next time you have an experience of exposure to the insurer is at renewal or at claim stage. And that's not healthy. Versus somebody who knows, understands, grows through and is engaged in that market on a consistent basis. So, you know, as far as competition is concerned, I don't see many as competition, but I think it is healthy for the industry and the market. A lot of the competition currently is for our clients' attention and the idea of going through a call center. Just trust somebody at the back of a phone who's gonna throw you through the deals machine. And I don't think that's a healthy way to go about making financially prudent decision making. It's well marketed, but it's dangerous.
I mean, I think to Nico's point, I remember a few years ago when I bought my first car, I was on Hippo, only to realize all those insurances were one big thing. I'm like, this is insane. Like, how is this like? I'm comparing multiple companies, but they all belong to one big company. This is crazy.
It gives you the illusion of choice, unfortunately.
Yeah.
True. That's part of the marketing. So now you're like, wow, 5 options, amazing. 5 options from the same doctor's office.
Yeah, exactly. Like literally within the same,
from the same institution.
It's the same building. Yeah. So
sorry, Cash. And also, I think from your business perspective, I think obviously as you grow older, you kind of understand the benefit of rather having your broker because, you know, I work in property finance and a lot of my clients would tell me to say, look, we obviously insist on the building having insurance, but my clients will say, look, no, I've got my own broker. Can I get my own insurance and then I'll come back to you? And often, the brokers will obviously get the client the best deal. And I often wonder, how does that happen? Is it because of the relationships we have with the underwriters? Because I don't think the risk changes, right? If this is the building and let's say it's compliant, but there's these issues and somebody else quotes it at this price, how are you able to get it lower without really minimizing the risk? Because the risk is the risk.
You're opening a huge can here, which I'm going to be Underwriting is fascinating, guys. There's everything from reinsurers, which are the offshore providers who give extra capacity to the local insurers. By that I mean we've got 100 million rand asset, the local insurer is going to take up 40 million, the reinsurer will pick up the other 60 million. There's prerequisites there, and different reinsurers have different rates, and they have different experiences of different areas in the country, for instance. So you will have guys on the coastline in KZN that took up a lot of density there, where one insurer maybe had 40% of the total market share. Those guys have a big flood or a scenario that takes place, or you name it, a storm, and they get huge amounts of damage that goes through their own underwriting and now becomes a hotspot for difficulty, where the reinsurer also comes back and says, now guys, now we have to charge a higher premium in this area over the period because we need to recoup some of the losses we've made. And another insurer is at a 5% exposure and is like, oh, that hasn't really dented our book, so we can still give a very good rate in that area. So that's small on a very high level, but it goes down all the way to the smallest thing of saying, what's the highest density of these type of things? What's the individuals, insurers, and the underwriters' experience with young people, with those kind of vehicles, with those kind of properties, with that kind of construction, with that kind of business, those kind of business owners. All of those things factor in, which end up giving an element to the premium, but then in addition, the value of the broker. The reason why we're part of this group scheme with our sister company as well is that we have a huge amount of volumes placed with different insurers. So we come in with volume, and this is where we have to play a careful game. We can't put too much with one, because then we overexpose ourselves, and then everything becomes too favorable there, and then we basically just become a single distribution line for that insurer. So we have to keep placing across the board, and then that we get different types of rates from the insurers as well. And oftentimes with better relationships, we can also call in a favor here and there and say, listen, Mr. Insurer, we've already got R1 million cashing with you on a monthly basis for these kind of portfolios. We're trying to build this up more. Give us something favorable for this guy, because we can see that we've got potential here. He needs a little bit of help with this transaction. Let's get something decent for them. And sometimes you can call in those favors.
So, okay, interesting. So actually the insurers kind of decide the risk based on what you tell them.
We have a lot of strength, brokering, but I would say it's not just about what we tell them. It's about that pleasant. We are an advocate for our clients as well. So we act.
And sometimes there is actual risk. Like, I mean, KZN is a real thing, to be honest. The rains, the storms, I think back then no one could have foreseen that stuff happening in KZN. Like, we've always said like this tsunamis and etc. will happen somewhere else, not here. But then here it happened. So and out of interest, because I remember when we had the whole looting incident, there was obviously a lot of burning buildings, and then Sasria kinda came into the picture. What's your sense of Sasria? Because this is government owned, from what I understand. Are they equipped to deal with like the ultimate situation that happened, or how do you see Sasria?
Sasria is like the brother you call in when all hell is broken loose. Those are the guys you call in. Listen, guys, everyone's fighting. We need help here.
True.
And they need to come in and fix it and say, whoa, guys. Sasria is an extremely powerful local insurer. They offer specific help when. So to be clear, you can only take out Sasria or get Sasria cover if you've got an existing insurance portfolio. And you can only really insure what's on the portfolio at a lower level. As you go up, you can negotiate different types of rates and stuff as well. But Sasria is the only insurer that can actually make good on acts of violence, strikes, war, terrorism. And so they facilitate the insurance is designed to put you back where you were prior to an event,
ideally,
a claimable event. And so what they do in that space is measure the risk. They've got on the Insurance Apprentice now, they had a very interesting one where we were discussing these different expansion levels of visibility and coordination between security groups, local, national policing, as well as military might, through different levels of volatility as they increase. As the pot starts to get stirred and people start to get uneasy and people start to riot up, and then they start to look at breaking things, and then we start to look at violence, and then we start to look at looting, and then we start to look at additional malicious burning of assets and malls and things like that. And the discussion there, they work on very high levels where they're now looking to facilitate community groups together with local policing, together with local security for first levels, then escalating to regional and national and as you progress, because they are an important buffer against the risk from a prevention is better than the cure perspective as well. So they want to get involved a little bit earlier, because it doesn't help they just pitch up and say, okay, we'll pay for the damages.
Yeah.
Because in the riots and strikes that we had in 2021, we lost 60 billion. 60 billion.
Yeah. It was not
60
small.
billion is
insane.
60,000 million. It's money, bro.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Stupid money. 1,000 million. That's bigger than the lotto. I mean, that's one of the 60. It would have been so much better to say, listen, we've got resources, we'll rather deploy and facilitate. Let's get the security companies out. Let's get the local policing out. Let's equip them with X, Y, and Z and spend 2 billion rand on the risk mitigation and reduction, then spend the money on mass to go and recover from the difficulty, because the problem is not just the losses, it's the consequences and the societal losses thereafter. You know, that person who lives in that local area where they burnt the macros and they burnt the large shopping centers down had to go and trek double, quadruple the distance and incur the cost of transportation and the inconvenience and all the rest, while this thing had to be rebuilt, these malls, these shops, the stuff that's taken place. There's so much more consequential loss than even just the immediate situation. The people who were employed by those businesses,
Loss of employment.
without work.
No income.
The families who were deriving their livelihoods are sitting with their, hamstrung by the situation because we didn't address those things as well as we could. But the other thing is we need to contribute. There's more good people in this world than there are bad ones.
True.
And the good ones need to stand up. We need to take a stand and say, guys, this is not going to fly.
True.
You're not going to do this. I think it happened in Soweto where the guys were quite actively involved in patrolling.
Oh,
around
yes.
the
They made sure.
And I applaud those guys because nobody incentivized them. They just decided, nah, this is not happening. This is not
Because this is where we shop.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That
was honorable, to be honest.
It's to your point that this is our area, it's where we live. We need to protect it. And
it's our assets. It's our collective assets. It's our collective infrastructure. We need to see it that way and look at that. Not just when all hell is breaking loose. We need to look at that on a daily basis and say, how can we contribute from a societal perspective to make sure that we enhance our own infrastructure, enhance our own local scenarios. We see it quite a bit now, which it's amazing that there's local policing groups and community watch groups with a whole bunch of people in the local community who will take a turn once every 8 weeks to go and patrol an evening around the neighborhoods and suburbs to stop people from stealing cables, for instance.
True.
Because now these people must go with their babies and the 2 blocks must be without electricity for the next 3 days because the municipality must come pitch up to correct that stuff. Instead of the preventative elements
stop it
is
from
necessary.
happening. Yes.
But to see that societal uptake is wonderful. To see that people are taking responsibility for what is theirs instead of saying, oh man, the police are so bad, they don't do anything.
Yeah.
Say, well, look, the guys are struggling. I don't think any police officer is going to work and say, I want to do as
like
I can today.
it's crazy. I mean, I think the other day I was researching and then I found out that from prisons perspective, like we just don't have enough prisons to hold all the criminals that are in the country. That's insane.
Imagine, from the population.
That's crazy.
And I
We need
think
to bring in manual labor, boys. We need those guys to go down into the mines and be productive.
I
That
know,
old
right?
school, those guys have too much human rights. They need to go and mine, put them in a quarry,
trust
make them
me.
economically productive.
Yeah.
it has to be enough of
Will
a.
reduce our unemployment rate.
It needs to be enough of a deterrent to say, look, I'm not going to get these privileges, because literally that's the old school. You're in jail. You're in prison. Firstly, you're not in. You're crushing rocks like monotonous works. You crush these rocks, move them from here to there. After you finish, move them back to there. That kind of institution, but I'm not coming back. Let me go back, be a productive member of
Look,
society.
at least they'll come out a strong member of society. If they've been properly rehabilitated, they can go and do good work. You don't want them to come in as be a powerful criminal thereafter.
Yeah.
But look, there's ways for us to. I think we need to look at structurally.
Of course.
how we
Yes.
can offer more value. But there are so many things, and look, I've still got a strong desire to make a difference from a political perspective at some point. But so many things that I wish we would just start addressing. We don't have to be perfect when we start.
That's the
We
thing.
just have to start somewhere, because if we get 1% better, 2% better, 3% better,
It's
4%
incremental
better,
change.
we end up at a better outcome. Then we'll only start once we've sort of got a full 100% workable plan. It's just never going to happen, because at the rate of change we've got,
True.
the 100% keeps moving. That goalpost keeps shifting every other week.
The life as we know, the dynamics are they're too fluid in terms of whether it's tech. Like you said, we don't know what South Africa today, in many years from now, you don't know what it's going to look like. For someone who's busy, I saw the last thing on my side I wanted to know you seem to have a lot going on.
Yeah.
Where do you fit in time to be on the Insurance Apprentice? Like,
Great question.
I mean, I'm sure it's good for the brand and for your business,
For
but
sure.
yeah.
I didn't realize the contribution it would make initially, to be perfectly honest with you. But I love a challenge, gents. Put me in front of something and say, can you do it? I'll say, not can I, when will I do it? I can, I will. Brett, one of my colleagues and good friend of mine actually, and he actually started the brokerage with me very early. He came in, he put down a lot of hard work to help make the brokerage successful, and it aligned value system contributed a lot to that. But he told me, hey man, you would love this. Go and do that. And I was like, nah dude, I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
And I was like, no man, go check it out. So I participated last year and I got knocked out in the top 20.
Okay.
And it was because I was too diplomatic, so they said. I was about treating it like business and trying to avoid conflict and trying to be very
You
reasonable.
wanted the drama.
Oh, so this year I went, and so funny enough, Tim was the number one for last year, and Rianette, the MD for FA News, who runs the Insurance Apprentice, they'd come to me and said, listen, just go in, do it again.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have time, guys. They managed to encourage me, and I said, okay, cool, I'll do it. And it's been a wonderful experience. So I believe big, and this is an entrepreneurial tip. It's work-life integration. There is no such thing as work-life balance. Because if you're looking to seesaw this thing for balance, you will have to play fulcrum all the time. That triangle at the bottom of the plank, or whatever it is, you will have to be
Moving it all the time. You'll never get it. You'll never get it.
cannot.
Exactly right. Because life throws too many unforeseen spanners at any given time.
You just have to integrate deeply everything that you do. So networking for me is both a business element, and I'm a social chap, so it tickles my fancy from a socializing perspective, getting to know good people. I mean, the reason we walked into each other, Cash, is because what were we doing? We were walking around.
Come from the bathroom.
We came out of the bathroom and we started to chat.
Just from there.
But that ticks a couple of boxes. And so from a business perspective, TIA ticked the box of the corporate relationship enhancing portion. It spoke a bit about how you can find like-minded individuals. It spoke to competition. It spoke to taking up a challenge, and I love a challenge. It spoke to a bit of strain as well, and that to me ticked a lot of my boxes from a work-life integration perspective. And so if you can get integration right, where you don't mind working at 9 in the evening, because I was at business networking this morning at 8 to 10, and that was good for me. So and then on the weekend, I mean, we do these things when they can fit in, rather than where we want to block them into, you only work from 8 to 5. If you only work from 8 to 5, you're going to get the 8 to 5 results.
Correct.
If you do, and this takes us all the way back, so nice one on that, Cash. If you do the hard work early, and you learn how to work hard, very hard, for little reward and for little appreciation early, just because you know that it makes you better, and you manage to incorporate that hard work element into modern work, where you on the grind, where you sacrifice nothing. Alex Omosi, or everything. Alex Omosi, and you leave nothing behind. He speaks about this quite a bit, is that you cannot be terrible at anything if you put in the necessary volume. You can't tell me that after 2,000 hours of doing something you're terrible at, you'll still be as terrible as the day that you started. You will by default be better because of the fact that you've done the volume. So the easiest way to get better is to do more. Just do as much as you can. You have to balance your life out when it comes to making sure that you rest adequately. That's my biggest problem. This African Insurance Exchange, I think I got 11 hours sleep over 4 days. But I bartended in my previous life, so I'm used to doing 18-hour shifts at a time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I use that as my advantage. But you need to have your own sort of barometer for the balance of your social and the interactions and your rest. But as far as work is concerned, you must integrate that deeply into your life. Because if you can get that done early, if you can understand that early, especially as an entrepreneur, if you've got the integration right, you can achieve a lot. You really can make your life much simpler than trying to tick box your life and balance your life out.
No, last one from me. Is it financially rewarding?
Broking?
The journey.
Yeah, certainly. I think there's a lot of upside in this space, in broking specifically. You can make a really good living out of broking. You can have a very rewarding life by being an insurance broker. I think what's made this business so successful so early was that you learn so much from the different businesses and individuals. You find out what their problems are. You can incorporate them and when they come to your table, you know how to deal with them because the people that you share a similar value system with did it in this way and got it right. You can make good money. I would say that if you are interested in insurance, it's a great place to go cut your teeth initially. It might be good to go to a call center-based business, a direct business first, so that you get a bit of an idea of what happens there. But you can change your life by getting involved in financial services in general. Definitely. So it is.
If you want a Porsche, this is what you gotta do.
Not that I have a Porsche yet, guys.
No, awesome. Darius, I cannot thank you enough. I mean, just when I met, I knew that you'd be perfect guest for this camp we're having this weekend in terms of entrepreneurship. Like I remember when I shared your information in the group, I was like, no, guys, besides the insurance apprentice, this guy's personality is made for TV. He just jumps off the page. So I think it's great synergy for us. Obviously, love the fact that we give you guys, you and your business, a platform, what you do, your journey, your story. I think so many gems that you highlighted. And when people see this, it's just stuff that they can pick and see what's relatable for them. Because I think to the point we touched on earlier, even though we're speaking on how people get involved in criminal activities, but South Africa's got so many smarts. And what we're trying to do this entrepreneurship weekend is just to get people to see that this is the journey, pros and cons, challenges like anything in life, but there's so many possibilities. You know, you can, and I love the fact that the main spine of your story is putting in the work, grinding, the hard hours. You know, I don't want to say the proverbial, we came up in the era of pull yourself up by the bootstraps, but you have to put in the work, you know, because sometimes you're young people talk about work-life balance, and that's a misnomer. As an entrepreneur, you have to sacrifice the hours, work with people, get your balance, and be true to whatever values that you have. And you had those earlier on. And it all came together, beautiful journey from the diplomat qualification, international finance, outsurance, big corporate, and then you went your own way. So thank you once again for coming through. I'm looking forward to viewers seeing this episode, and hopefully in the future when we have more of these, we're going to be watching your journey. We can always have more future interactions just beyond this episode and this weekend. So thank you for taking the invite.
I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate the good conversation, the exposure, and keep doing what you're doing as well, chaps. I think you fulfill a specific role in society as well. Steve Bartlett has spoke about this recently, where he was just saying that he doesn't realize the difference he's making until one of the thousands of people has the opportunity to say, this was what was meaningful to me. So persistence, I don't have to tell you about that. You guys have been on the go for a while. Don't stop doing what you're doing. And thank you for offering the platform to individuals like myself. I'm not a guy who knows how to do these kind of things. Well, I can talk at least, but I know how to do my business. And this is a great opportunity for us to offer value to society at large as well. So I appreciate that you guys have made this commitment to stick to this. And there will be your time where they come to you and say, guys, what you've done there, the discussions you had here, the way in which you've decided to interact with society at large and be entrepreneurial has made a difference to me, and that reward will come, and I'm excited for that for you as well.
Oh, awesome. No, thank you so much. Great episode. So this has been episode 32 of the Business Agenda podcast. It was lovely when I closed the episode, but the guest just did it. So look out for this episode on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, also available on all your audio DSPs. And thank you so much, and look out for the next one. Cheers.